back to the Twang Table. January 30th, 2026. I am having quite a wonderful experience today. I'm going to call it a collision with the Fender Benders. Oh yeah, so in my hands I have a piece of Fender history. This is a 1968 Fender Telecaster bass. How many times have any of you out there ever seen one of these or played one of these? I'm sure some of you have, but if you ever get a chance to, please pick it up and try it and see what you think. See if it speaks your language and tone. So I'm not sure what strings are on this bass, but they were changed a few years ago, and I don't know the gauge. Sometimes that's important. Certainly important to some people. And the pick guard is a newer replacement pick guard for sure. I think, I use the word think, the electronics are probably, they could be near original, but anyhow, it's a wonderful feeling neck. And I know there's the different delicious tones out there from the Fender Jazz Bass and the Precision and the Telecasters, but you don't see a lot of Telecasters being played, and they do make them again in terms of these modern times. But if you get a chance to play a 60s one, I think you might be potentially enchanted by it. I'll play a couple of other little ditties on this. So anyhow, that's that, and if you play with your fingers, you'll get much more of a jazzier, bluesier kind of tone. And of course, you can make it bright and get funkier with it and all that kind of wonderful stuff. So anyhow, it's going through a 1960 Fender concert Fender amplifier cabinet. Also meshed with it is a 1966 dual Showman amp. Kind of an interesting assortment of collisions here, combinations. But it's all useful, and I'm so really actually excited about having and holding this 1968 Fender Telecaster bass in my hands, because I've only seen probably 3 of them ever in my entire existence, unfortunately. And a great memory that I'll share with you. I got to see and hear the great Tim Bogart, both when he was in the early days of the Vanilla Fudge, as well as his hard-driving blues rock band Cactus, which is one of my favorite collectible albums from the 70s. Cactus, yeah. Carmen Appice on drums. And he played through 2 Marshall stacks with his Fender Telecaster bass, and he could get great distorted, overdriven sounds as well as very bold, punchy, clean sounds. And he played a lot of notes. He filled up the sound in the stage with his bass playing, and he was later on he went on to play with the great Jeff Beck, truly one of the greatest electric expressionist guitar players ever to be, in a band called Beck, Bogart and Appice. And there's a live in Japan with them, and you can really hear Tim unleash with Beck, Bogart and Appice. So anyhow, that's my words today for the Fender Telecaster bass. So honored to get to actually hold one of these and show it here on the Twang Table. Thanks again, and this is really something. Yeah, thank you. Like I said, fellow Twangsters and Plank Talkers, I'm having a fender bender of a day here today, and I'm vibing out, as you can imagine. Oh, a whole lot of shaking going on. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Greg on Friday. Hey Greg, how you been there?
Okay.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Really nice to be here with you today. And this little amp is Greg's first amp. His daddy bought it for him. Probably 1967 Vibro Champ. Yeah, how about that, huh? Sweetness. And down here is a Princeton reverb amp, probably from 65, 66, just to be on the safe side of things. And Greg, what are you holding there in your hand there? That looks like something a little...
Yeah, it's a hodgepodge. It's 68 neck, Lefty. And this body is actually Japanese from about 89.
Okay.
And we cut it all up and put string benders in it. And you didn't want to cut up an old body.
Yeah.
So this is really kind of a barroom guitar.
So you made this telly yourself, this monster?
Yeah, my buddy Dave Letelier was a master carpenter. He did all the routing. He was the brains. I did the install after. So we got the B bender up here, right? Parsons White, and then back here I got a G bender. I'm on lantern hooked up at the moment.
How did you go about figuring that out? And did you get to play some of these prior to and talk to someone?
Yeah, I mean Gene Parsons.
Yes.
is the master guy who invented the thing back in the 60s with Clarence White.
Yeah.
From the Byrds. And so they have, Marty Stewart has the original guitar that they built.
Yep.
Was the first beat bender they used in the Byrds. And so we were authorized installers for the Parsons White string bender. Jimmy Page used one and some Led Zeppelin and a bunch of famous players, you know.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we became authorized and we did a number of installs for years, and then they just changed the whole marketing thing and decided not to have us installers out in the field, so they do it all in-house. He does a custom shop. The price has gone up.
As many of the country and country rock bands that I have seen over 40 years of all of New England and beyond, I have seen very few telly players with a B bender. I have seen a few, not many. Mm-hmm. And so you went about your business doing some installations yourself for players. How many installations did you do? About? Probably
about maybe 6 or 10, something
nice.
Like that total. I mean, they're not cheap, you know.
Yes.
So, but thanks to Dave Letelier, again, they all came out perfect, you know.
Beautiful.
When you start thinking about routing out a 50s Fender,
yes,
you better do it right.
Yeah. And do you have any theories or pieces of information that you think if someone wants to get into a B bender, what would you suggest in terms, should they do a B bender first? Should they do a G? Should they do a combo? Mm-hmm. Where do you think it all begins to go down that lane?
Yeah, there's now, you know, over Parsons White was definitely the first, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a few other brands out there now too, you know. I mean, personally, I like the B, you know, and I use the G a little. Brad Paisley's a G bender guy. He doesn't do a B.
Yeah.
Or, you know, not often. Jimmy Olander from the band Diamond Rio, he was a double bender guy.
Yeah.
If you listen to Diamond Rio,
I have heard a couple of their records.
You know, these guys are great players, obviously. Yeah. You know, so you know, there's a cheaper way to get into it called the hip shot.
Yep.
Which you can just bolt on, and it's kind of an awkward movement where you pull it out this way and it goes against your hip.
Yes.
But it's a cheap way to get into it.
Yep.
You know?
Do you have any favored, or from your experiences in terms of tonal recipes, do you have any kind of theories about your pickups, whether they should be overwound, less wound, anything about potentiometers, or especially your string saddles? You have any kind of feelings about all of those?
Yeah, well, I grew up playing a Strat.
Yeah.
So I wanted that middle Strat pickup to get this kind of kind of have a clap kind of sound.
Yeah, that's a beautiful.
And then later on, I decided to go with a Strat here because I like that. So the Tele bridge is brighter than a Strat. It's the most probably guitar that most like a pedal steel sound.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love it for country or rock.
Yep.
I ground this away. This was a Danny Gatton idea, so
Yeah.
that you could do the hybrid picking without breaking your fingernails, you know. But as far as the saddles go, I mean, when I went to a Tele, I just kind of learned to work with the 3, you know.
Yeah. Do you have any noticeable tonal preferences, you know, using a set of brass saddles or steel or some of the other saddles that are now available, titanium, etc.?
Yeah. You know, these are stock Fenders. I got the ones, I forgot what model they're from, with a groove.
Yeah.
To keep things straight with the benders, you know.
Yeah.
I know there's some nice ones out there now that are sort of intonated for
Compensated, yeah.
Yeah, compensated. And brass maybe
Yeah.
the way to go. You know?
Joe Glazer down in,
There you go.
bless him, you know, down in Nashville, they put out a thing called the Music City Telecaster bridge, made out of brass, and it's got a bunch of slots so you can space things.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to intonate a little bit better. And
yeah. I mean, it's cool. And Joe does a really good bender. You know,
Yeah.
He does the B and G for most of the guys down in Nashville. You know?
And nowadays, what would you say an average cost if you wanted to convert one of your Teles to a B or a B&G bender? What would be about the approximate cost to do so?
At Parsons White Custom Shop, it's probably up around $1,800
Yeah.
nowadays. I think Glazer is more like 8 or 9.
Okay.
And you know, don't quote me on those, but
Right.
I'm ballpark.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
I think the one with Glazer, from what my understanding, is you can flip it to be a B or a G.
That's what I
which is kind
understand.
of cool. This is a double. You know, we did a second whole route when they started the G bender thing at Parsons.
How much heavier?
It's about the same.
About the same.
Yeah, but you take out so much wood.
So much wood.
I know on the Glazer, they just take off like about a pencil
Okay.
width all the way down, so it doesn't take much wood out, you know.
Yeah.
And those are actually really good. I think he's got a version 2 out there now. That's, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't tried one. Being a lefty,
Yeah.
you don't see a lot of this.
So not only are you a lefty, you are a pedal steel player, as well as a bass player and Tele player.
Yeah.
And yeah, so do you favor rosewood necks versus maple, or do you like them all?
I like them all. I mean, some reason for the country Tele thing, I think the maple has just a tad more of a snap.
Snap. Yeah.
But you know, I grew up with the rosewood on the Strat.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I play Gibsons too.
Yep. Can you give us a couple of little demonstration B-bender licks, just a little, to give the people a sense of that?
So, I have to warm up.
Nice. Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah, so, you know, with the application of that B-bender and G-bender, you can do some mighty interesting things with chord voicings, and it doesn't, you don't have to always be thinking country/country rock. You can use this stuff in many different kinds of possibilities. So that's something to keep in mind. It's just because it's a Telecaster and a B-bender, there's a lot of possibilities that you can take into a more creative place, but having a tool like this in your arsenal opens up the possibilities and options to explore different harmonic situations. And so that's the beauty of this kind of thing, which really came prevalent. I know that they do B-benders in different kinds of guitars besides Telecasters, but normally, wouldn't you say the Telecaster is the proper tool?
Usually. I mean, I know Parsons White, they do Les Pauls, and they even have one that works in acoustic guitars now.
Wow.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if they do a Lefty in that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my last question to you, Mr. Greg on Friday. You have a favorite album or albums or artists that you would share with the listeners? Hey guys, if you want to hear some exemplary playing on the B-bender or the G-bender, I strongly recommend you include this in your listening spectrum.
Well, Brad Paisley's a big one. Johnny Highland.
Okay.
He, way back, he didn't use one. Now I see he's using them. I'm not sure. Probably Glazer.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out him. He's one of the best in the world, no doubt, on country and really all styles.
Yeah.
I would definitely check him out. Diamond Rio, check out their stuff for the double.
Which Diamond Rio record?
I don't have an album name.
Okay.
But almost everything they did.
Okay, yeah.
Jimmy Olander. And
who was the other guy that played in Diamond Rio who played a lot of Tele? He was in the Helicasters as well. Wasn't there a second guitarist with Diamond Rio?
I don't think so.
Or Desert Rose?
Yeah, that would have been John Jorgensen.
Oh, John Jordan. That's who I was thinking. Somehow I thought
Yeah.
those two played together.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. He's
Yeah.
an amazing player. I'm
Yeah.
not sure he's a bender. I know in the Helicasters, I think Will Ray,
Will Ray.
he used the hip shot.
That's correct.
So check him out.
Yep.
And I mean, it's to me a little awkward of emotion, but doesn't seem to slow him down. I mean, it works fine.
Yeah.
So whatever you get used to, that's a big part of it, for sure.
Okay. Well, that is an interesting demonstration. Really being appreciative of that. And thank you, Greg. Hey, Greg. What are you holding there?
What I got here is a 66 Lefty Jazzmaster. 66 was the only year where they had binding on the neck and dots. Before that, there was no binding. After that, 67, they went to binding with the big blocks.
I bet you Jay Mascis would be a little envious.
Well, Jay, he's got he's got quite an assortment of nice varieties and 58s and things. Not to mention his Fender signatures.
Yeah.
And he kind of put them back on the map. When
right.
I was a kid, nobody really wanted these things. His story was he went to buy a Strat, and he would come up short on the money. And there was a Jazzmaster, so he bought it. And the other thing that was kind of interesting was the stock bridge on the Jazzmaster. You can't really bend the strings, so it's a saddle swap.
Yeah.
So the one that he got happened to have a Les Paul bridge.
Oh.
And so all his signature stuff, or as soon as he buys a new one, that comes on. The Les Paul bridge, Nashville bridge. So that's a little history thing. This is a Mustang bridge, which works better than the stock. I had the stock one in the case, and I got this thing on here, which is holds it down so you can really bend stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's a they didn't make many, and so when I bought this is a right-handed tailpiece. A lefty you would think the arm would come off down here.
Okay.
So I'm like, I called one of the old timers at Fender, Charlie, was there from the early days, and I said, "Is this right?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, They didn't make too many of these Fender Jags. No, it's fine. So they, they just slapped a righty tailpiece. The current ones are made in Japan,
Okay.
and they actually have like a left-handed tailpiece. You know?
That is a wonderful, wonderful story. Fantastic. And did you find this in a music store?
Well, there was a guy, old-timer guy,
Yeah.
that had an ad, and he called it a Jazzmaster guitar, left-handed. And I called him up and I said, "Is that what do you got? Is that a Fender?" "Yeah." And I said, "What color is it?" And he said, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, is it kind of start yellow and go?" He goes, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And I said, "Does the neck have dots or block?"
Yep.
He says, "I mean, what difference does it make as long as it does the job?" And I go, "I know, man. I'm just trying to figure out what you got."
Yeah.
So, I went down and there it was. And, he, I don't know how he played it, but
There's some sage words right there. What difference does it make?
difference
As long as
does it
it does the job.
That's
Now that's
exactly
something you
what
can
he
take
said.
home with you.
So
Put that in the case.
So I went down there and he said, "I want this much for it." And I said, "Okay, I'll give you this much." And then when I pulled out the money, he just seemed really surprised,
Yeah.
But he was in a pretty hardcore neighborhood,
Yeah.
And so it was interesting.
Very cool. And on that note alone, this Princeton Reverb, which we're going to call 65, 66, somewhere certainly in there, in 1975, you acquired that for about $75.
Yeah, I forgot the year, but about that. And I was playing in a band,
And that sounds so
and
sweet.
this guy had it.
Yeah.
And this other guitar player, and I said, "Wow, that's cool. If you ever want to sell it, let me know." He goes, "I do want to sell it because it's not loud enough to play the bar." And so I go, "No, it's good for our recording,
Yes.
So he said, "Well, I got a couple more jobs, and I'll sell it to you for 75." And I said, "Yeah, great."
Yeah.
So there it is.
Wow. Greg, thank you for that wonderful story about your Lefty Jaguar. Such a fantastic piece you're holding there, and once again, a very unique and hard to find that. So really enjoying this.
Cool. Yeah.
Great. Even if it's not, it's so cool.
Pretty close. I'm not
Okay.
gonna bother.
So, hold it. Reggie Young, the Box Tops, Cry Like a Baby, Steely Dan. What's it called?
Do It Again.
Do It Again.
Solo.
Okay.
You heard a lot on commercials and such.
Yeah.
It's got the buzz
Oh, that's so
bridge,
cool.
they call it. That's why it gets that.
So, okay, ready?
Ready.
Start it with that clinking through there. So, folks, as you would expect on the Twang Table, we sometimes go down a different detour, a different lane, and I'm sure glad we explore that from time to time. So today, what we have before us is quite an interesting twang tool. It is a electric sitar, and some of you know it that grew up in our decades as the Vincent Bell choral sitar, which this is a replicated version of that, and you could hear it on great tracks by the Box Tops. Reggie Young playing it, a great session player from Memphis, and then again you hear it later on down the lane on Steely Dan, Do It Again. And I'm not sure who the session guitar player that played that, but Greg might know. And Greg, why don't you give us a little history?
I'm not sure. That might have been Dean Parks. I can't remember.
Yes.
I did see an interview with the guy talking about it.
Yeah, Dean Parks.
And he was talking about how it was a piece of crap instrument that happened to be around the studio as a rental that day.
Okay.
So he just did it, and he never saw one after that.
Now, where did you get that?
This one was made by Jerry Jones Guitars in Nashville, and the situation was we were dealers for him. And
Nice.
I bought a lot of instruments from him, and I asked him to do a Lefty for years, and he just wouldn't do it. He would not do it. He said it's too much tooling, and so he was also building the copy of the Dan Electro, which is kind of oval, solid body.
Yeah.
So one day I called him up and I said, I want to get one of those, but I want you to send me the body unfinished, and then I'm later going to send you back a Lefty body to put the finish on. And he's like, why are you doing this? And I said, I want a Lefty, man. I've been telling you. And he's like, well, the pickguard won't be right. I don't care. The lap bar, they called it, won't be right for Lefty. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to do it. And he's like, why are you doing all that? So he said, I'll tell you what, I'll build you this. He called this the master sitar, would be synthetic. And he said, I will build you a Lefty if you buy 3. And I said, no problem. So I got the 3 in finally and sold the other 2 in one day.
Wow.
Yeah. And the original Coral, I saw in a magazine way back, there was a picture of a Lefty and there was only one. It was made for Hendrix. And they said Hendrix didn't actually get it in time before his death.
Yeah.
And they said it was held in the hands of a collector, so I have no idea where that is, but other than that, so he made the Lefties, and he would never tell me how many total. He's retired at one time. I think he might have even passed away, I'm not sure, but somebody told me that. But I went down to his factory in Nashville, and he was a really great guy.
Yeah.
And he would never really tell me how many he made, but I once in a while see another one out there, and I don't think there's more than maybe about, I'm going to take a wild guess, maybe about 1,000.
You got yourself a serious piece of history right there.
Yeah, I was
That is really something.
And when I met him, I said, sometimes I pull it out and play it, and I said, I can't believe I'm actually playing the thing all these years of wanting to, Certainly not for everything, but yeah, it's got some cool stuff.
So your history lessons, twangsters out there and playing talkers, is you can go and research. There's a number of recordings. If you can find any old vinyl on Vincent Bell, I happen to have one of his records. It's quite a recording. And he was a session guitar player, I believe, out in Los Angeles, way back in the 60s. But I think you would all find it quite interesting if you go back and you look up the Coral sitar and Coral sitar recordings, as Greg and I mentioned, Reggie Young, and you can find it on the Steely Dan recording. And there's a couple of other pop artists that employed the Coral sitar guitar textural sound on, which is obviously very unique and enjoyable and pleasant to most. And as Greg pointed out, it's a sound not for all, but for you people out there who like the twang, it's got plenty of twang to it, and then some.